If you're over the age of 60, there's one seemingly harmless habit that could be silently putting you at risk of a stroke, and it might be happening while you sleep. No warning, no discomfort, just a sudden shift from feeling perfectly fine to struggling with slurred speech, a heavy arm, or complete loss of balance. As a brain health specialist, I've seen far too many older adults suffer from these terrifying episodes, not because of smoking, poor eating habits, or a sedentary lifestyle, but because of something they believed was actually good for them: vitamins. Yes, you heard that right. The very supplements millions of seniors take every day to protect their bones, boost energy, or sharpen memory may, under certain conditions, increase your chances of stroke or brain injury. Before we dive deeper, let me ask you, have you ever wondered whether your daily vitamins might be doing more harm than good? If so, type 1 in the comments. If this idea is completely new to you, type 0. And if brain health matters to you or someone you care about, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Vital Health Secrets. We share trusted, doctor-like advice designed just for older adults. Millions of older adults rely on daily supplements with the hope of improving their energy, preserving bone strength, or keeping their minds sharp. And while certain vitamins absolutely offer benefits, others, especially when taken in excessive amounts or at the wrong time of day, can quietly put your brain at serious risk. What's most concerning is that many seniors have no idea that these over-the-counter products can interfere with blood pressure, circulation, and clotting, particularly in the early hours of the morning when your brain is most vulnerable. Today, I'll walk you through 5 of the most common vitamins that may increase your chances of stroke, internal bleeding, or sudden blood pressure spikes. If you've ever taken vitamin D, E, B6, A, or niacin, what you're about to learn could be life-saving. Vitamin D, the silent stroke trigger. Vitamin D has become one of the most popular supplements among seniors, and for good reason. It's widely known to support strong bones, boost mood, and help regulate the immune system. But what many older adults don't realize is that when taken in excessive amounts, especially without proper monitoring, vitamin D can turn from a helper into a hidden danger, particularly for the brain. What makes it so risky is how quietly it can cause harm. One of the most concerning side effects of vitamin D toxicity is a buildup of calcium in the bloodstream, a condition called hypercalcemia. This surplus calcium doesn't simply float around harmlessly. The body stores it in places it shouldn't, including the arteries, where it hardens the vessel walls and reduces their ability to flex and respond to blood pressure changes. For seniors whose arteries are already more rigid due to aging, this added stiffness significantly raises the risk of clots forming and lodging in the brain, resulting in a stroke. To make matters worse, many people take their supplements late in the day, even right before bed. That's a critical mistake. During the night, when hydration drops, blood becomes thicker, and blood pressure can fluctuate unpredictably. The risks of having a stroke are highest. If someone is unknowingly dealing with vitamin D toxicity, these conditions create the perfect storm. Sadly, this is not just theoretical. I've had patients who followed all the healthy advice they thought they needed, including taking 5,000 or 10,000 IU daily of vitamin D without any blood tests. One such patient, a retired Navy veteran, took his supplements like clockwork every morning, thinking he was doing everything right. But behind the scenes, the calcium levels in his blood were climbing, his arteries were hardening, and one morning, he suffered a stroke in his sleep. No prior symptoms, just devastation. The irony is that this could have been avoided with a simple blood test and an adjustment in dosage. So while vitamin D is absolutely essential in the right amount, it becomes a silent threat when taken in excess, especially without medical supervision. It's not just about how much you take, it's about how and when you take it, and whether your body actually needs it in the first place. How vitamin D affects the brain. Vitamin D's influence on the brain goes far beyond bone health. While it plays a critical role in maintaining proper calcium balance, immune response, and even mood regulation, when taken in large amounts, it can quietly disrupt the very systems it's meant to support. High levels of vitamin D lead to increased calcium absorption, which at first might seem beneficial, but once your body reaches its threshold, that calcium doesn't exit the body efficiently. Instead, it begins to deposit into soft tissues, including the arteries that carry blood to and from the brain. Over time, these deposits lead to arterial stiffening, restricting the flow of oxygen-rich blood to brain tissue. This makes the brain more vulnerable to ischemic events like strokes. Moreover, excessive vitamin D has also been linked to elevated blood pressure, another well-known risk factor for brain damage and stroke. The relationship between vitamin D and brain health is delicate. Too little may cause mood disorders or cognitive fog, but too much can increase the likelihood of catastrophic vascular events. The elderly are especially at risk due to naturally declining kidney function, which is responsible for regulating vitamin D levels and filtering out excess calcium. When that system weakens and high-dose supplements are taken daily, even without symptoms, the cumulative burden builds silently. The damage isn't immediate but gradual, until one morning the brain is deprived of blood flow and function, resulting in slurred speech, paralysis, or worse. Studies have shown that seniors who take vitamin D in doses over 2,000 IU daily, without being deficient, may be tipping their body into dangerous territory. And since over-the-counter supplements often contain 5,000 to 10,000 IU per capsule, it's alarmingly easy to cross that threshold. The safest approach is to always have your vitamin D levels tested, and to take supplements only under guidance, in the morning hours, when calcium metabolism is better regulated and the risk of nighttime blood pressure swings is minimized. Your brain isn't just affected by what you take, it's affected by how wisely you take it. Vitamin E, the hidden bleeding risk. Vitamin E is often marketed as a heart-friendly antioxidant, something that promotes better circulation, helps fight aging, and even supports immune function. It's no surprise then that many people over 60 add it to their daily regimen, thinking it's a safe and natural way to preserve their health. But what's rarely discussed is how vitamin E, when taken in high doses or combined with certain medications, can dramatically increase the risk of internal bleeding, especially inside the brain. This is because vitamin E acts as a natural blood thinner. It inhibits platelet aggregation, which, while helpful in reducing clot risk, can also tip the scale too far and prevent your blood from clotting when you actually need it to. This becomes especially dangerous when someone is already on prescribed blood thinners like warfarin, aspirin, or Plavix, which many older adults are for managing heart disease or preventing strokes. In this context, adding high-dose vitamin E can be the final factor that weakens a fragile blood vessel in the brain. I'll never forget a patient who experienced this firsthand. An 81-year-old retired librarian who was careful with her health and always followed her medication schedule. She also began taking vitamin E on her own, after seeing a magazine article recommending it for memory and circulation. The dose? 800 IU daily. Nearly 40 times the recommended daily intake for seniors. 3 weeks later, she was rushed to the emergency room with vomiting, a severe headache, and confusion. Brain scans revealed a hemorrhagic stroke, a brain bleed, not due to trauma or high blood pressure, but due to overly thinned blood. She survived, but her memory and coordination were never the same. It's a heartbreaking reminder that vitamins are powerful tools, and like any tool, they must be used with precision and care. The recommended intake of vitamin E for adults over 60 is around 15 milligrams, or roughly 22 IU per day. Yet many natural supplements sold in stores offer 400, 800, or even 1,000 IU, amounts that might do more harm than good. Especially when mixed with prescription blood thinners, the risk of bleeding rises dramatically. If you're taking both and no one is monitoring your blood clotting levels, you may be setting yourself up for a preventable disaster. How vitamin E can cause brain bleeds. Understanding how vitamin E can cause bleeding in the brain starts with its biological role. As a fat-soluble antioxidant, vitamin E is stored in your body's tissues and is not quickly flushed out like water-soluble vitamins. This means that excess amounts can accumulate over time. At higher concentrations, vitamin E interferes with the body's ability to form clots by inhibiting vitamin K, dependent clotting factors, and preventing platelets from sticking together. In simple terms, it keeps your blood thinner for longer. While this might sound good for preventing heart attacks or clots, it becomes dangerous when your blood is too thin to stop internal bleeding. The brain, with its dense network of tiny vessels, is especially vulnerable. A small tear or weak spot in a blood vessel, something that might not matter in someone with normal clotting, can quickly become a medical emergency if your body lacks the ability to form a clot and seal it. This is what leads to hemorrhagic strokes, which are often more deadly or debilitating than the more common clot-based ones. Seniors are particularly at risk because they are more likely to be on medications that already affect blood consistency. Add in a megadose of vitamin E, and the balance tips dangerously. What's more alarming is that most people don't experience symptoms until it's too late. A sudden, severe headache, blurred vision, difficulty speaking, or vomiting might be the first sign. And by then, bleeding has already begun. Recovery from a brain bleed is difficult, often incomplete, and sometimes impossible. That's why the key is prevention. Seniors should always review their supplement labels, especially if they are taking anticoagulants or have a history of cardiovascular problems. Regular blood work can detect clotting issues early, and in most cases, vitamin E needs can be met through a balanced diet. Foods like sunflower seeds, almonds, and spinach contain plenty without the risk of overdose. Supplements should only be used under medical supervision, and high-dose products should be approached with extreme caution. Remember, even natural substances can become harmful when taken in the wrong amounts, and with something as sensitive as your brain, there is no room for error. Vitamin B6, from helper to nerve destroyer. Vitamin B6 is often praised for its ability to support nerve function, boost energy, and improve focus, which is why many seniors reach for supplements labeled as brain support or nerve health without a second thought. But what most people don't realize is that high doses of this vitamin, taken consistently over time, can actually damage the nervous system, often in ways that mimic serious age-related diseases. Take the case of Mr. Harold Jenkins, a 76-year-old retired truck driver from Kansas, who began experiencing unusual symptoms, numbness in his feet, tingling in his fingers, and increasing difficulty with balance. At first, he dismissed these problems as typical signs of getting older, something he thought he had to live with. But after multiple falls, including a frightening head injury in his own bathroom, he came to me for help. When we reviewed his supplements, the problem became clear. He had been taking a popular nerve support formula twice a day for over a year, and each pill contained 100 milligrams of B6. That's 200 milligrams daily, more than 10 times the recommended upper limit for adults. Over time, this excess had accumulated in his body and began damaging the protective sheath around his nerves, much like peeling insulation off electrical wires. The result was a progressive, silent breakdown of his motor control and sensation. Most disturbing of all, he had no idea he was harming himself. He truly believed he was supporting his brain and nervous system. This isn't rare. Many so-called memory and nerve formulas on store shelves or online contain dangerously high levels of B6, far beyond what the aging body needs or can safely process. Mr. Jenkins was fortunate to catch it in time before the damage became irreversible, but he now uses a cane, avoids driving, and has to be extremely cautious with his mobility. His story is a painful reminder that even a supplement marketed for brain protection can quietly dismantle the very functions it claims to preserve. How B6 damages the nervous system. Unlike many water-soluble vitamins that are simply flushed out by the kidneys when taken in excess, vitamin B6 has a unique and dangerous trait. It can build up in the body over time, especially in older adults whose metabolism slows down and whose liver may not clear nutrients as efficiently as it once did. While a little B6 is essential for nerve signaling and brain development, high doses can begin to break down the myelin sheath, the protective layer that surrounds your nerves, much like the insulation around electrical wiring. When this layer begins to wear away, the nerves misfire or become hypersensitive, leading to a wide range of symptoms including tingling in the hands and feet, numbness, muscle weakness, poor coordination, tremors, and even confusion or memory loss. What makes B6 toxicity particularly deceptive is how gradually it creeps in. Many people confuse it with arthritis, age-related balance loss, or early dementia. And while you might assume a little extra vitamin is harmless, especially if it's sold in health stores or online, some of these so-called brain support or energy formulas contain 50, 100, even 200 milligrams of B6 in a single serving. Compare that to the actual daily requirement for older adults, which is typically just 2 to 10 milligrams total, including what you get naturally from food like bananas, chicken, oats, or potatoes. Overdosing doesn't give you extra brain power. It slowly degrades your nerves. Unfortunately, the symptoms of B6 toxicity often go undiagnosed until significant damage is done, and in some cases that damage is permanent. If you're currently taking any supplement labeled for nerve health, memory support, or brain boosting, check the label immediately. Know how much B6 you're taking every day. And if you're unsure or experiencing strange nerve symptoms, Speak with your doctor and have your levels tested before the damage becomes irreversible. Vitamin A. When eye support turns harmful. Vitamin A has long been known as the go-to nutrient for maintaining healthy vision, supporting immune function, and promoting skin repair, which is why so many older adults are drawn to it, especially when dealing with age-related changes like dry eyes or fading eyesight. But what very few seniors are told is that vitamin A, unlike water-soluble vitamins that your body flushes out, is fat-soluble, meaning it gets stored in your liver and other tissues, including the brain, where it can quietly accumulate over time. This buildup doesn't usually cause symptoms right away, but after months or even years, it can start to create pressure inside your skull, something that feels eerily similar to a stroke. Take the story of Miss Dorothy Simmons, a 79-year-old retired piano teacher who prided herself on her independence and mental sharpness. She began experiencing frequent headaches, blurred vision, and dizzy spells, and one day her speech began to slur. Fearing the worst, her family rushed her to the hospital thinking she had suffered a stroke. But imaging showed no clot or bleed. Instead, doctors found increased pressure inside her skull and a backup of spinal fluid. The diagnosis was pseudotumor cerebri, a condition where the brain behaves as if there's a tumor when there isn't, often caused by vitamin A toxicity. Dorothy had been taking a high-dose skin and eye supplement for over 5 years, unknowingly consuming nearly 10,000 IU of vitamin A every single day. This slow accumulation began to stress the small blood vessels in her brain and interfere with her vision, balance, and cognitive clarity. What's frightening is that this isn't unusual. Many multivitamins already include the full recommended dose of vitamin A, but then people add on eye health pills, anti-aging formulas, or immune boosters that double or triple their intake. The safe upper limit for most older adults is around 2,500 to 3,000 IU daily, and even that should only be taken under medical supervision. The damage caused by excessive vitamin A may not be instant, but it can slowly compromise your eyesight, increase brain pressure, and impair your memory and coordination. Dorothy is now recovering, but her vision remains fragile, and she undergoes regular pressure monitoring. Her story is a wake-up call for anyone assuming more vitamins equals better health, because when it comes to fat-soluble vitamins like A, the harm can build silently until it's nearly too late. How vitamin A builds up in the brain. The body handles vitamin A very differently from nutrients like vitamin C or B-complex vitamins, which are water-soluble and exit the body through urine if taken in excess. Vitamin A, on the other hand, is fat-soluble, which means it dissolves in fats and gets stored in the body's tissues, especially the liver, skin, and even brain. Over time, if intake exceeds what the body can safely use, vitamin A gradually accumulates, and for older adults, this buildup can be particularly dangerous. As we age, our liver's capacity to process and detoxify compounds like vitamin A becomes less efficient, so what might seem like a reasonable dose for a younger person can be toxic in someone over 60. Once stored, vitamin A doesn't just sit idly. It can interfere with the regulation of spinal fluid, increase pressure inside the skull, and place enormous stress on the tiny blood vessels in your brain. This pressure mimics the signs of a brain tumor or stroke, causing headaches, blurry or double vision, dizziness, nausea, and in some cases, long-term damage to vision or cognitive function. What makes this especially tricky is that many people taking supplements don't just rely on one source. They may take a multivitamin, an anti-aging formula, an eye support pill, and perhaps even a fortified food or drink, all containing varying amounts of vitamin A. When combined, these doses often exceed the safe limit without the user even realizing it. Even worse, the labels rarely warn older adults that their age and liver function matter when it comes to fat-soluble nutrients. Most doctors agree that seniors should not exceed 2,500 to 3,000 IU of vitamin A daily, unless under direct supervision, but many off-the-shelf supplements contain 5,000 to 10,000 IU per serving. That's a toxic dose when taken day after day, month after month. And unlike other nutrients, vitamin A toxicity doesn't show itself with something mild like an upset stomach. Instead, it can quietly sabotage your brain's pressure system, causing vision loss, confusion, and stroke-like episodes that may become permanent. It's not about fear, it's about facts, and every senior deserves to know how their body handles vitamins differently with age. Niacin B3, the blood pressure wildcard. Niacin, also known as vitamin B3, is widely known for its role in lowering cholesterol and improving circulation, which is why many older adults either take it on their own or are prescribed it by their doctors. You'll find it in multivitamins, heart health blends, energy drinks, and even fortified cereals, often labeled as flush-free or extended release, which makes it sound safe. But what most people over 60 don't know is that in high doses, niacin can quietly cause dramatic swings in blood pressure and increase the risk of what's called a transient ischemic attack, or TIA, a temporary mini-stroke that serves as a warning sign of something much worse to come. Let me share the story of Mr. Frank Miller, an 82-year-old retired postal worker from Florida, who had been experiencing strange symptoms for weeks. Each morning he felt hot flashes in his face, tightness in his chest, and a strange pounding sensation in his head, followed by dizzy spells that would come and go. His family chalked it up to age or stress, but the truth was far more serious. Upon reviewing his supplement regimen, I discovered he was taking a heart-healthy over-the-counter blend twice daily, each dose delivering 1,000 milligrams of niacin, a staggering 2,000 milligrams per day, over 60 times the amount a typical senior needs. Here's the problem. Niacin causes your blood vessels to dilate, which is why you feel flushed. But soon after, those vessels constrict again. This rebound effect stresses your cardiovascular system, sends blood pressure soaring, and limits blood flow to your brain. That's exactly what triggered Mr. Miller's TIA. His speech slurred for 2 minutes and then returned, but the event was a red flag that his brain had suffered a serious warning shot. Even more concerning, many people think flush-free niacin is safer, but these versions still impact blood pressure and may also increase risks for atrial fibrillation or unstable blood sugar levels. For seniors, especially those on blood pressure meds, diabetes drugs, or heart rhythm treatments, even 50 milligrams of niacin should only be taken under a doctor's supervision. Mr. Miller is now off niacin, recovering well, and thankfully had no lasting brain damage. But he told me something I'll never forget. "Doc, I thought I was doing everything right. I had no clue I was gambling with my brain." His story is far too common, and it's why niacin deserves far more caution than most people give it. How niacin affects the cardiovascular system. Niacin's effect on the cardiovascular system is both powerful and unpredictable, which is why it must be approached with great care, especially in older adults. While it's true that niacin can improve cholesterol levels by increasing HDL, good cholesterol, and lowering triglycerides, the way it interacts with blood vessels can be a hidden threat. When taken in high doses, which is very common in heart support supplements, niacin triggers the blood vessels to suddenly widen, leading to a sensation of warmth or flushing in the face, neck, or chest. This might feel harmless at first, but what follows is far more concerning. The same blood vessels that expanded rapidly then constrict just as fast, creating a roller coaster effect on your blood pressure. For a younger person with flexible arteries, this may not cause much harm. But for a senior with already stiffened blood vessels, this abrupt change can place massive strain on the heart, destabilize blood pressure, and restrict blood flow to the brain. Over time, this yo-yo effect increases the risk of transient ischemic attacks, strokes, or even irregular heart rhythms like atrial fibrillation. It doesn't help that many forms of niacin, including no-flush and sustained-release versions, still carry these same risks, even if the surface symptoms are less obvious. What's worse, niacin can also interfere with blood sugar control, particularly in older adults with diabetes or prediabetes, and may worsen insulin resistance. Despite all of this, countless seniors continue taking niacin without medical oversight, often stacking it with other heart-related supplements, unaware of how much they're truly consuming each day. Doctors typically recommend no more than 50 milligrams per day for older adults, and even that only when necessary. Yet many over-the-counter blends contain 500 to 1,000 milligrams per serving, often taken multiple times daily. These doses are not just unnecessary, they are dangerous. It's important to remember that your cardiovascular system changes with age. The heart works harder, vessels lose elasticity, and the margin for error shrinks. A vitamin like niacin, which was once safe in your 30s or 40s, can become risky in your 70s or 80s. That's why it's not about avoiding all supplements. It's about respecting their power and understanding that more isn't always better. In fact, when it comes to niacin, more can mean a direct risk to your heart and brain. What to take instead? Safe, brain-friendly nutrition. After hearing about the potential dangers of commonly used vitamins like D, B6, and niacin, you might be wondering what's left. What can you actually do to protect your brain, your heart, and your overall health as you age? The answer isn't found in another pill, powder, or capsule. It lies in real food. Whole, unprocessed, nutrient-rich food is your body's original medicine, and it works in harmony with how your system was designed to function. Unlike supplements, which often deliver megadoses of isolated nutrients in unnatural concentrations, food gives you balanced nutrition, cofactors, fiber, hydration, and natural antioxidants all working together. Take Mrs. Margaret Wilson, for example, a 73-year-old retired school principal who came into my office with a drawer full of supplements. Vitamin D for her bones, E for circulation, B-complex for energy, niacin for cholesterol, and a handful of others for brain health. She told me, "I'm doing everything right, but I still feel off. Dizzy in the mornings, forgetful, and tired all day." When we reviewed her supplements and compared them to her symptoms, it became clear that her routine was actually overwhelming her system. So, we did something radical. We replaced the pills with a nourishing food-based routine. No complicated diet plans, just consistent, real meals that deliver everything her brain and body need in a form they recognize and can safely absorb. Her new breakfast? 1 boiled egg for clean protein, half an avocado for brain-healthy fats, a slice of whole grain toast for slow-burning energy, and a small handful of blueberries packed with polyphenol and antioxidants. She washed it down with a glass of room-temperature water, and sometimes added a few walnuts or almonds. That was it, simple, clean, powerful. Within weeks, Margaret's dizziness faded, her energy came back, and her mind felt sharper than it had in years. She even reduced her blood pressure meds under her doctor's guidance. What changed wasn't just what she ate. It was the way her body finally received the nutrition it had been asking for all along, without the stress of high-dose supplements. The truth is, your brain thrives on hydration, healthy fats, consistent glucose from whole grains, and a steady supply of vitamins and minerals in their natural form. And the best part? Food doesn't come with hidden risks, dangerous spikes, or silent side effects. It comes with balance, flavor, and the healing power nature intended. Best brain foods for seniors. When it comes to protecting your brain as you age, no supplement can match the power of real, nutrient-dense foods, especially those that naturally support memory, circulation, and nerve function without the risks of overdosing or harmful interactions. In fact, some of the most potent brain protectors are already sitting in your kitchen. Let's start with leafy greens like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard. These vegetables are loaded with folate, vitamin K, and antioxidants that help reduce inflammation in the brain and improve blood flow, both critical for preventing cognitive decline. Then there's fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, which are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, particularly DHA, a type of fat that actually makes up a large part of your brain structure. Omega-3s have been shown in countless studies to slow brain aging, support mood, and even reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Another category of brain-friendly foods includes berries, especially blueberries, blackberries, and strawberries. These fruits are packed with polyphenol, compounds that protect brain cells from oxidative stress and help preserve memory and mental clarity. Nuts and seeds such as almonds, walnuts, flax seeds, and chia seeds are another staple every senior should include. They provide vitamin E, magnesium, and healthy fats, all of which support nerve function, reduce inflammation, and promote balanced brain chemistry. And don't overlook whole grains like oats, brown rice, and quinoa, which provide a slow, steady release of glucose, the brain's main fuel source, without spiking blood sugar levels like processed foods do. Even hydration plays a key role. Mild dehydration can shrink brain tissue and impair concentration, so drinking enough water throughout the day is just as important as eating well. The beauty of these foods is that they work synergistically. You're not just feeding your brain, you're also supporting your heart, stabilizing your energy, and improving your mood all at once. Real food doesn't come with the fine print of side effects or overdose warnings. It comes with decades of scientific backing and a legacy of healing. So instead of relying on high-dose pills, start building your meals with these natural brain allies. They'll nourish your body, protect your cognition, and help you stay sharp well into your golden years. Final wake-up call: awareness is your greatest medicine. As we reach our later years, one truth becomes clearer than ever. The most powerful tool you have for protecting your health isn't a miracle drug or the latest supplement trend, it's awareness. The choices you make every day, what you eat, what you take, what you believe is helping you, can either safeguard your future or quietly place it at risk. The stories we've walked through today are not rare, and they're not meant to scare you. They're meant to empower you. Too often, people assume that because something is sold over the counter or labeled as a vitamin, it must be safe. But the reality is, the aging body doesn't process supplements the way it did 20 or 30 years ago. Your kidneys, liver, and circulation all change with time, which means even well-meaning habits, like taking extra vitamins for memory, heart, or bone support, can backfire if done without knowledge or medical supervision. Many seniors are unknowingly putting themselves at risk not because they're careless, but because they're trusting the wrong sources: magazine ads, flashy online articles, or vague health claims with no science to back them up. That's why awareness is your greatest medicine. Knowing how your body works now, being thoughtful about what you put in it, and staying informed about the risks and benefits of everything you consume, that's what keeps you safe, strong, and in control. It's not about throwing away every supplement. It's about reading the labels, checking the doses, and asking questions. It's about choosing whole foods, staying hydrated, getting regular checkups, and listening to what your body is trying to tell you. Most importantly, it's about remembering that your health is not just in the hands of doctors or pills. It's in your hands too. So if there's one thing to take away from this video, it's this: you are never too old to learn, adjust, and take smarter steps. The best health decisions are made not out of fear, but from knowledge. And the more you understand, the more power you have to protect your brain, your independence, and your life. Now that you've taken the time to learn about the hidden risks behind 5 commonly used vitamins and the smarter alternatives available to you, I'd love to hear from you. Which part of today's video surprised you the most? Was it something you've taken for years without questioning? Or maybe it reminded you of a loved one who's unknowingly putting their health at risk? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience might help someone else. And if you found value in this information, if it made you pause and reflect, please give this video a thumbs up. It really does help others discover this kind of life-changing content, especially seniors who may never hear these warnings otherwise. Also, make sure to subscribe to Vital Health Secrets and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Every week we bring you honest, evidence-based health tips crafted especially for older adults. No gimmicks, just real science, shared in a way that's easy to understand and apply. Remember, you're not on this journey alone, and your health is still yours to protect. Whether you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, or beyond, it's never too late to take back control of your well-being. So join our community of health-conscious seniors, stay informed, and let's keep building a healthier, stronger future together, one smart choice at a time.